from secondary school, I got into smoking weed, and then into like selling weed. So from that sort of age, I was just selling drugs and that in school, really, just to make myself some extra money. Then as I got older, I was really into music, so I used to go do a lot of raving from the age of about 16 years old. Again, selling drugs. So I used to sell pills, cocaine, weed. So it used to be kind of crazy sometimes, but I found it exciting, I have to say that. And we did have a lot of good times as well. I had a lot of money, so we used to go out raving continuously, sometimes go out like 4 or 5 times a week. But all through that, I wasn't really happy, because I was actually quite an angry person. I remember my mum always used to say to me, like, always used to tell me that I was just like so angry. And I guess I know for a fact I was pretty disrespectful around the house as well. So obviously I think she just used to look at me and think, what's going on with him? I think she had a sort of an idea of what was going on in my life, but not to the full extent, I don't think. But yeah, it's kind of dark at times, definitely. Got to a point where one night I was sitting there, me and 2 of my friends have come back from some club, and we was back at our house, and it had been like a really good night, and we had a laugh. Both my friends left. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, I reckon, and I was sitting there just watching a bit of TV, about to go up to bed, and I was just thinking, I just had this feeling inside of me that I was just so unhappy, which was funny, because at this point, at that moment in time, right there and then, I actually was very happy. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that I'd had a really good evening. But this feeling of like, almost like depression. And I thought, like, why do I feel like this? And obviously I knew about Jesus and I knew about God. And I just started crying. And I was just sitting there in my living room by myself, and I had like tears rolling down my face. And I just began praying to God, which I hadn't done. Like, maybe I'd pray to God when something was going, oh God, please help me out with this or that, but I hadn't done for like years. I hadn't prayed to God properly. And I said, basically I was telling God about all these different issues what I had with like how I didn't really used to like myself, I don't think, at all. I didn't used to like the things what I did deep down as well. And all these issues with like pornography, taking drugs, being horrible to people, being horrible to my mum and dad, like relationships, how you treat people and stuff like that. And I was just sort of like pouring my heart out to God, and I was just putting them all before his cross, because I remember someone told me how you should bring all these things that you don't know how to deal with and put them before the cross. So I was just sitting there crying, and I got on my knees and telling God all these different things, obviously. And then and it felt like I'd been there for like about no more than 10-15 minutes. But then when I looked at the clock, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'd been there for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. So it was like really weird. I thought I've been here for like ages. But at the end of the prayer, I sort of said to God, if you've heard me, then give me a sign. Because I've sort of had that feeling before when I was younger, how God didn't listen to your prayers when you spoke to him or whatever. So then I went to bed, woke up the next day, and again my mum was on my case about this meeting, and a guy called Steve Hill was doing a how do you call it? You know them big evangelistic meetings, doing a big meeting up in Dagenham. And I thought, well, do you know what I mean? I told God to give me a sign, so I thought I've got to give it some sort of chance. You know what I mean? So it got to the evening, I went up to this meeting, and as soon as I got in there, I hated it. It was horrible. We sat down. I was sort of like in the middle of a row, and I remember just looking around, thinking, I want to get out of here. But when you got all people around you, you don't really want to make a fuss or whatever. And he started to preach, and he's going, I can't remember not one word what he said like during the whole entire meeting. But I just remember sitting there during it, and I had tears again like coming down my face, and I was shaking. I was sitting there just shaking, thinking, I want to get out. And that's what I was thinking, like, constantly. And it got to the point where he gave the altar call, And I don't know why, it's almost like my legs took me without my mind even doing it. But as soon as I got up and I started moving, like I think I was probably one of the first people at the front. And I got down, obviously in tears again, like crying again before God. And I give my heart that night. And I remember like this preacher like really taking like, spent time talking to me afterwards as well. And it felt like, I don't know, it felt like really special. I felt so different after I gave my life. And it was just like a whole sort of like weight had lifted off my shoulders, and I sort of felt brighter. Steve Hill at the meeting said everything that you've got in your house, which is, do you know what I mean, pornography, drugs and everything, get it out of your house, get it out of your life. And I got on my phone to my friend and said, I've got to bring it all round. I said, I can't have it in my house, I can't have it near me. And he was sort of like, well, like, what are you going about? Why? So like, I've just got to bring it round. So I went around and took all the stuff around there. And I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I said, I'll help you collect the rest of the money, what we was owed, but I can't do, like, I'm not going to sell drugs anymore. And he was like a bit confused, but like it's sort of like weirded out by it as well, thinking, what's wrong with him? And I didn't actually tell him that night what the reasons was. It wasn't until the next day, and he's still on my case, ringing me saying, like, why have you suddenly decided not to do this and that? And I told him that I'd been to this meeting and that I'd given my life to Jesus. And he knew that my family was Christians, but he was quite like, I don't know, surprised that I'd given my heart to God. So then he said, like, and then I said, well, do you want to come to this meeting? Because it was like a week-long event, I think. And the next night he came, and then he gave his life as well. And it was just amazing, do you know what I mean? We'd come from where we'd been, and all of a sudden we're there talking about Jesus after the meeting. We was all happy, all like hugging each other and that, and we was all like bouncing off each other. Went round our mate's house, we sat there and smoked a joint and talking about God, do you know what I mean? It's a bit contradictory, but we was all like really excited about like what had just happened. Because my life's changed completely, do you know what I mean? There's a reason for me living and a reason for me being on this planet, and there's hope. Whereas before I had no hope. My hope was to be some sort of like drug dealing gang lord, like, do you know what I mean? It was a whole sort of, I don't know, I was living in a fantasy, I think. But my hope now is, do you know what I mean, to see friends who from where I've come from, to see them saved. And I don't know, just to raise my family. I don't know, it's just so exciting. When I look to the future, there's like an excitement there. Whereas before, it was all, I don't know, it was just rubbish. My faith in Jesus, basically I feel like now that these things that I've done in the past, you know what I mean, do you know what I mean, they're forgiven, and that I'm free from a lot of problems and issues what I had before. I know for a fact that I'm free from like a stronghold of like drugs that was on my life, and lies as well. I used to tell loads of lies all the time and whatever. Basically, my faith in Jesus is that I'm free from everything.
If you enjoyed this video or these types of testimonies, please remember to hashtag Jesus and share it all across your social media. And not just the content of this channel, there are millions of testimonies out there, hundreds of millions. And even beyond testimonies, there's great gospel music and praise and worship. There's crazy healings and supernatural encounters and out-of-body experiences and everything you can imagine. God is still at work in the world, raising his children and redeeming us. So even though the mainstream has this organized campaign of prejudice against Christians, and has largely demonized us, saying, oh, we must be haters, or we must be uneducated, or, you know, all of that type of thing. Hopefully you can see from these testimonies that we are just regular people from all walks of life who found our way out of that mainstream lie and back to the truth. And we're telling you how amazing it is and how real it is. So please help us further the cause and hashtag Jesus across all of your social platforms, and let's get Jesus trending again. He's worth it. And if we don't do it, nobody is going to do it. They've banned the Bible. They've banned the 10 Commandments. They've banned prayer. They won't even let the valedictorians thank God at graduation anymore. It's insane. It seems like they teach people that, oh, you can't bully anybody. You have to be tolerant of every people group except Christians. You're allowed to bully Christians. The mainstream lie actually tries to make it seem cool and trendy to be intolerant and prejudiced toward Christians, to have hate and fear toward Christians. But hopefully you can see we're just regular people, nothing to fear here. And we love you and God loves you. And we just want to tell you that. Because in the book of Revelation, when it talks about the end times and the Great Awakening, it literally says that we overcame the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. So here we are. We won't be silenced and we are not ashamed. These are our testimonies. As with every testimony in the hashtag Jesus movement, you can find the link below to these original channels. All of these amazing brothers and sisters have so much more to share, and you can find that at their channels and their websites, which will be linked below in the description box. And if you don't have your own YouTube channel or social media presence and you want to submit your testimony, you can either send that in writing and I will read your testimony and show it on the screen, or you can tape it yourself and send it in an attachment to this site's email address at jesushashtag@yahoo.com. And also, if I have shared your testimony on this site and you've decided that you want to take it down, I'll totally respect that. You can also contact me at jesushashtag@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to remove it from the site. All of these testimonies are people who have come forward and wanted to make this information public, and they have publicly posted these testimonies in an effort to add their voice to the ocean of voices that is the body of Christ. But like I said, if anyone doesn't want to add their voice to this site and this effort, I will absolutely respect that. Just contact me and I will remove your voice from this site. But special thanks to all of you who were bold enough and courageous enough to stand up and give your testimony publicly. We love you deeply. May God bless you and yours.